Maybe you're praying about birthing a new company. Maybe you're thinking about starting a small group. Maybe you're thinking about going into full-time ministry. Maybe joining King's College and beginning to apply yourself to the Word of God. Or maybe you're about to make that move concerning that girl or that boy in the form of marriage. Or maybe there's a possibility that you can move from this city to another city. And you're saying, God, is this you? I don't want to do a good thing. I want to do a what? I want to do a God thing. So Luke, what did you do? And he said, well, even though others had already birthed or started, or whether it's that company or that small group, he goes, but it seemed good to me. It seemed good to me. Watch what he said. Or fitting for me as well. In other words, I think I have something to say. I think I have a part to play. Because as far as I know, and if you wanted to look at it from this angle, Matthew wrote a book, or Mark wrote a book, and John wrote a book, and they covered this angle, and they saw, or they said that this is what Jesus did from their perspective and through their mindset. But as a doctor, as a Greek, as someone that was not raised in church, I saw Jesus, or I perceived that Jesus did something different than how John covered it, or how that Matthew recorded it. And I'm here to tell you that if you don't get your story out, Christ in the gospel will not be preached. That's pretty good preaching right there, Pastor Joe. When I say gospel, what does it mean? It means that he recorded the life of Christ in stereo, 4 gospels. God is a surround sound God. And what Luke said was, there's something that I realize about God. One, he worked something in me. And I heard it differently than John, or differently than Matthew, or differently than Mark. You see, God has worked something uniquely in you. And if you don't get that story out, because that is exactly why you are still alive. You are alive because God has said you're going to be alive, and you're alive for a reason, to bring Christ in another way that no one has ever heard that before. Second reason why you need to understand this is that, and I love what he says, it seemed good to me. What is it that keeps us from doing a good thing? What is it that's keeping you from writing that book? What is it that's keeping you from making that step? What is it that's keeping you to your destiny? What is it? And oftentimes, we don't do what we believe that might be God because we don't know if our good is enough. Every person battles with, is my good enough? And when God gets in your life, and when God has his hand on your good, God takes the good and he makes it good enough. And when you just give God your good, God's hand begins to bless it, and it's always good enough.